Hello and welcome to episode 8 of my Git By Example series. If you've missed any of the previous episodes, check out this playlist linked right up here to get caught up on those. Today we're going to move beyond talking about the different functions of Git and take a few minutes to talk about the actual conceptual level of using Git. So we know the syntax and it's time to talk more in depth about how we're going to use it. So there are many different workflows for Git, and oftentimes teams will develop their own over time. But today I want to focus on the one that I personally use, which also serves as the basis for many different workflows that a lot of teams develop. This workflow is often called the feature branch workflow, and it functions exactly how it sounds. Let's jump on over to this right here. So the basic idea is you have your main branch, like your master branch in your repository. Let's just say these are the commits in your master branch, right? So these are just going along from commit to commit. But the way that these are actually going to work behind the scenes is you're going to come off of those with different branches. Let's say we wanted to add a new feature when you're using this workflow. So if this is what our repository looks like right now, we would start by creating a new branch with the name of the feature that we are building. So this, and then our name would just be like new feature. So now that we have our new branch right here, we are then going to write all of our commits on this branch. So we're going to have everything that happens on this branch. This thing right here is just representing the branch. And then as soon as that's done, we're going to push it to a remote branch, open a pull request, and then at that time, it would be a good idea to have a testing framework of some sort, probably as part of some sort of continuous integration or pipeline or something like that. Test our code and make sure there are no glaring errors. And we would probably also have someone else on our team review our code if we're not working alone. And then finally, after that, once our pull request is validated, we are then going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and merge that right back in. So then at this point, we would end up with our new branch feature that we have right there would be merged right back into our main code, and that's how we're going to add features. So the great thing about this is that it's going to generally be pretty compartmentalized. You're not going to have to deal with merge errors, because generally when you're working on a feature, you're going to be touching the code for that feature and nothing else. And other people are just going to be touching the parts for their features. So when you're working like this, oftentimes you can have very, very simple merge commits and things like that. And generally it keeps things really well compartmentalized, and it's a lot easier when you go back and look at your commit history to understand when different things got added, because their commit is simply just going to be for their feature. There are other things you can do with this workflow. One thing that I like to do is once I am done with a new branch, I will squash it down to all work in one commit instead of being across multiple commits. So things like that are things that I'm going to talk about in future episodes, where we're going to get into the more advanced Git topics that are not necessary for a Git workflow, but can be very, very useful tools. And if you just have optimizations like that, then you end up with a super readable history that can really show you the history of the project that you're working on and be super easy to follow if you need to check back and see how something was added at a later date. So this keeps things super clean. It also keeps things really compartmentalized when you're working in teams so that you don't have two people touching the same piece of code and then you have to merge it later. And overall, I think it's a really solid workflow, and it's what I rely on to get my projects done. So that's going to be it for this quick workflow video. If there are any other topics that you want me to tackle in future episodes of this series, be sure to let me know in the comments, because I've tackled all of the main things that I definitely set out to do, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.